So before I start this up, how's it going, everybody? I'm Jay Ray, and I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Jay Ray's DIY. In this video, I'm going to be fixing my planer. If you've been watching me in my last video that I released, the planer blade and the planer hold down plate got bent, messed up because a bolt came out of them and got stuck between them and a board. So I've got a fix for them on this video. I've got the knife hold down plates here, and I've got the cutter knives here. I'm going to keep them in this case until I go to install them because I want to minimize the chance of hurting myself. Okay, here on the table I've got a new blade, a new knife hold down plate, actually two of them stacked on each other, and then I've got the hold down plate that was in my planer and the blade that was in my planer. As you can see, these are pretty messed up. So they got twisted pretty bad, bent out of shape. It even has an angle backwards on that knife hold down plate along with the knife, the cutting edge there. So you got to be careful when you're messing with these. They are really sharp. I don't recommend just playing with them when you're at home by yourself. But I got the new knife, new hold down plate. I'm going to go ahead and get that installed. I think I'm going to install one and see how it works. If there's a bunch of vibrations, I do have that second knife hold down plate and another knife if I need it. And hopefully that'll minimize vibrations if there are any. But we're going to test it with just this one and see how it goes. Well, I think it should be a fairly simple process to do this. First thing I'm going to do is insert the knife. It's got these two notches to hold it in place. So I'm going to set the new knife down on those. Yeah, so this comes with two springs. There's one that usually goes on either side of this knife hold down plate, one on each corner, one there, and the one that was over here that came out, this spring got messed up. It got bent pretty bad, so I'm not sure that I can reuse that. I'm going to try to put the new knife hold down plate on without it and see if that'll work. So my next step is I'm just going to set the knife hold down plate on there, and then I'll start putting the bolts in and see if I can get this to line up. I did end up getting some Loctite, as I mentioned in my last video. I ended up going with this blue 242. It says it's removable. My understanding of this is that it's removable when you're using tools on it, but when their bolts are in place and they're tightened down and torqued to spec, they should not come loose. Okay, most of the charts that I'm finding online, they jump from like a number 10 bolt to a 1/4 inch bolt, and I believe that these are 1224 or 1232 threads on these. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of get in the middle on my settings on my wrench. What I found was a 1032 is 24 inch-pounds and a 1/4 20 bolt is 50 inch-pounds. I've got this inch-pound torque wrench and I've set it to 30, and we're going to go with that and see how it does on this planer. It broke my tool. I did look up T25 torque specs. The best that I could find online was 8 Newton meters. If you convert 8 Newton meters to inch pounds, it should be around 71 inch pounds. So I don't think that this tool should have broke, trying to go to 20 inch-pounds, but I'll have to get a new tool. With the Loctite on these bolts, I don't think that I'll get another opportunity to torque them down again. So I got them as tight as I could, just using the regular Torx bit with a ratchet. I do want to check the other blade to see how it's doing, so see if I can spin this by hand very carefully, try not to get cut by that blade. And I'm going to see if these bolts are tight before I proceed with putting this back together. These bolts still look like they're pretty tight. I couldn't get much more out of that ratchet with them. So I'm going to go ahead and put my planer back together and see if I can start using it. Hopefully it will do well on the wood with a minimal vibration. So the only thing left to do really is to put this cover back on that has the dust collection on it. It just sits down in there. And then after it sits down in there, I've got 2 bolts that I need to put in, one on either side, in order to keep it in place. And they're just thumb screws, so they're easy to put in there and just tighten up by hand. Before I run any materials through this planer, I want to see if the vibrations are going to be an issue or not. If it's about the same as it was before, I'm going to leave it as is. If it vibrates pretty bad, then I'm going to have to put the other plate on there and see how that does. So for now, I don't have the dust collector hooked up, and I'm not going to run any materials through this. I'm just going to turn it on and see if it has bad vibrations or if it's about normal. Sounds to me like it is vibrating worse than what it was before. I don't know if it's just because of that plate being a different weight than the one that was on there on the other side, or if it's because the material, when it got in there and that bolt messed it up, kind of threw off that bearing a little bit. So I'm going to try changing the plate and see if that'll fix the vibration issue. Alright, so I got both of the knife hold down plates changed out. I put Loctite on all the bolts. And so now it's time for the moment of truth to see if the planer is really going to work. It does sound a lot better. Sounds like it normally does when I turn it on. So we're going to go ahead and try to run this cutting board back through here and see how it does. Well, it looks like the planer is back in working order, so we're good to go there. I'm going to go ahead and start trying to finish some of these projects that I've had waiting to get this finished. And the only other thing that I need to check into now is why my dust collector is not working as efficiently as what I hoped it would. Well, since my planer's fixed, I believe that's all I've got for this video. If you got something out of it, educational wise or entertainment purposes, please hit that thumbs up button. Share it with people that you think might enjoy it. Well, that didn't go as planned. As usual, something went wrong. My tool busted. Well, these bolt heads have a T25 Torx. I looked up T25 Torx specs, and as the best thing that I could find, whatever. I don't have the dust collector up. I'm just going to turn it on and see how bad the vibrations are. I may have unplugged it, so let me check that first. Please share with the Now that my planer's fixed, that's all I've got for this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button, share. If you don't, or if you want to.